Hello friends, and welcome back to Virtual Happy Hour. Just in case you forgot, Father's Day is coming up on June 20th. And actually it was my father's birthday yesterday, May 31st. He turned the ripe old age of 71, gets better looking every year, and I wanted to suggest that if your dad is as handsome as my dad, that you consider getting a gift that matches his handsomeness. Allow me to introduce the Spirits with Smoke Smoked Old-Fashioned Kit. This is absolutely beautiful. In this wood box from Calvary Company, Spirits with Smoke, we have an entire array of cocktail gifting. Okay, we've got recipe cards. We've got a lovely wooden muddler, beautiful. We have both aromatic and orange bitters. Bitter selection will vary depending on supply, depending on when you order. We've got some Spirits with Smoke coasters, lovely. Some boutique Quebec maple syrup for your sweetener. 2 ice ball molds, I love these. A lovely Japanese bar spoon, and then the pièce de résistance, the items that allow you to smoke your cocktails. We have a selection of 5 different wood planks that you smoke to create the smoked cocktail of your dreams, or enable your dad or the father figure in your life to create the smoked creations of his dreams, which is what it's all about. So here we've got cherry, hickory, maple, oak, and walnut. Today I am going to be using the, let's see here. I think I'm going to do, it's so hard to choose. I think I'm going to do walnut. I think that's going to work best with my recipe that I've created in honor of my own father, Scott, aka Scooter Man, aka Scoots. That's what I call him. That's what my friends call him. So I am making a cocktail, a variation of an old-fashioned that is inspired by my dad's favorite dessert, or one of his favorite desserts, the date square. I know this is probably reflective of his age as a boomer. I don't see a lot of millennials, Gen Z, Gen X reaching for a date square, but I think it is a highly underrated dessert, and I thought we should celebrate it in cocktail format. So I'm actually going to be using this very cool coconut oil washed bourbon. I followed Shannon Mustafer's recipe from her book, Tiki Tropical Modern Cocktails. And the way that I made this was I combined 12 ounces of bourbon with 3 ounces of unrefined coconut oil. And I gave that a really good shake in a mason jar. And I let that sit at room temperature for 6 hours. And then I put that whole combination in the freezer to allow the oil to kind of freeze on top of the bourbon to easily skim that off. Strained it through a fine mesh strainer, and now we have our coconut washed bourbon. I am using a date syrup. I made my own, but you can buy this at most Middle Eastern grocers. You can sometimes find it in the international aisle at the grocery store as well. I am going to be using, I know aromatic would be typical of an old-fashioned, but I actually think because I'm leaning into the baking spices component and I want to recreate the magic of a quality date square, I'm going to actually be using the orange bitters, if I can get it open. Of course, I'm pulling at the wrong part, so user error. There we go. And then I have the Brulee torch. This is an optional add-on to your smoked old-fashioned kit from Spirits with Smoke. The kit itself retails for about $178 Canadian company. And you can add on the Brulee torch if you'd like for an extra $30. So let's go ahead and get started. I find whenever I'm smoking cocktails, I really like to start by rinsing the glass because that gives the smoke and the aroma and that rich smoky experience something to grab onto. So here it's helpful on the edge of the walnut. This is described as earthy and charcoal. So those are some of the flavors that you can anticipate from smoking this particular wood block. But I'm gonna start by rinsing the glass with a little ginger liqueur. Again, I am leaning in to that baked good quality. My dad is actually the reason that I got into photography, because he is a very passionate photographer. He takes a lot of photos of nature now. He used to take a lot of pictures of cars and motorcycles, two of his favorite hobbies, in addition to squash, which he has been missing desperately over the past 16 months, but very fortunate and happy that we'll be able to play tennis together now that we're allowed to do that here in Ontario. So I'm just rinsing the glass with a little ginger liqueur, and then I will dump out the excess that I don't need. This is just to give the smoke, as I said, something to grasp onto. Otherwise, you do kind of run the risk of losing that smoky character pretty quickly. So we're gonna start with that. Now we're going to do the fun part and torch our walnut board. We need it to get nice and smoky. Set it on fire. Hopefully my smoke alarm doesn't go off. There we go. Now, I'm gonna let that sit on there for about 30 seconds to a minute. And while that's smoking, let's prepare our cocktail. So I'm gonna do 2 ounces of my coconut fat washed bourbon. This is actually my first time doing a fat wash, and I'm pretty excited. Hopefully it turns out as delicious as I'd like. And then I'm gonna do just 1/4 ounce of my date syrup into my mixing glass. Very good to start with a chilled mixing glass, because we're chilling and diluting but not adding texture when we stir. And I'm going to add 3 dashes of orange bitters. There we go. And then I'm going to add ice and let that stir. You can see my glass is kind of sweating. The condensation of the smoke making that ginger liqueur. And we're stirring and we're stirring. This is a great way to level up your cocktail game, help your dad level up his cocktail game. My dad is actually not a big bourbon drinker, but he does love coconut, so I know you may be thinking maybe coconut and date is it is a winning flavor combination in case you've never tried it. But the reason I opted to do the coconut fat wash is because my dad loves coconut. So that was my inspiration for this little date square old fashioned. So now I'm going to remove my glass. Very nice. Oh, it smells fantastic. That smoky characteristic is right in there. And then I will add 1 large cube. I'm gonna garnish with a single date and a dried orange wheel, which I got from their smoking saucer kit. Here we go. Hopefully you got a chance to like my smoking saucer reel as well. Both make fantastic Father's Day gifting ideas. Cheers. Oh, that was very successful, if I do say so myself. And what you're getting from the smoke is you're getting that complexity of the nose flavor. I know we've talked about this before. So typically in an old fashioned, you express the citrus oils from an orange peel into the glass to give you that brightness, that acidity, which is the nose flavor, which helps to balance out a very spirit-forward cocktail. In this case, we're leaning into the smoke from our lovely wood board here, the walnut. So highly recommend. This is a great way to add complexity, a little bit of theater to your or your father's or the father figure in your life into their cocktail game. So I hope you'll check out Spirits with Smoke. I have added a link to their site on my link in bio. So give them a follow. Check them out and mix it up. You know, you get them a tie every year. Why not get them some craft cocktail inspiration? Thank you for joining me, and I will see you on Friday.